While researching a variety of topics, several times I stumbled across the name of the Olympian deity in ancient Greek religion and mythology, Hermes. Hermes is considered the herald of the gods, along with many other titles, such as being a master trickster and patron for liars and thieves. His main symbol is the caduceus, a winged staff intertwined with two snakes. This symbol is often wrongfully used for medicine, since the true symbol should be the rod of Asclepius, the Greco-Roman god of medicine, which only includes one snake. There may be several reasons why a snake is used as a symbol for medicine, such as the serpent's ability to shed its skin, indicating longevity and immortality. In the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, it mentions that Hermes was known to the Jews as the biblical Enoch. There are several similarities between Enoch and Hermes, one being that Hermes was considered to be the messenger of the gods, and Enoch was said to have communicated with God regularly, and also walked with God. Hermes and Enoch are both rather unique and possess qualities that set them apart from other deities or patriarchs. The Book of Enoch was in fact never accepted as inspired scripture, and it did not make it into the Bible. However, Enoch is referenced several times throughout the Bible. In my opinion, this makes Enoch one of the most fascinating biblical characters. So what is the significance of the connection between Hermes and Enoch? Perhaps there is no significance, and perhaps there is no real connection. However, there are a variety of things I found intriguing while investigating this subject. First of all, there are several other deities associated with Enoch and Hermes, such as Thoth, Thor, Cadmus, Metatron, and one being the Roman counterpart to Hermes, Mercury. The three most common things that come to mind when someone mentions the word Mercury are either the planet, the metallic chemical element, or the Roman god. Mercury was the god of financial gain, commerce, merchants, thieves, trickery, as well as travelers, communications, eloquence, and messages. Similar to his Greek equivalent, Hermes, he was awarded the magic wand by Apollo, which later turned into the caduceus, the staff with intertwined snakes. Interesting to note that the word magic is by extension connected to the words sorcery or pharmakia, which is where the word pharmacy comes from. Pharmaceutical drugs and vaccines are essentially magic potions or witch's brew. In Revelation chapter 18 verse 23, it says, "For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." Also, mercury, a known neurotoxin, has been an ingredient in vaccines for decades. Another thing is, the caduceus, or Mercury's magic wand, which is also portrayed as a male anatomy on the Baphomet, is a symbol used heavily in America to represent medicine. And mercury, also known as quicksilver, is one of the 7 metals of alchemy. A man born in 1493 named Paracelsus, who is credited as a father of toxicology, was an occultist who believed that the alchemic metals could purify the body. He would often try to heal people using quicksilver or mercury, and many people died as a result. He is the reason we use harmful metals and chemicals in medicine today. Paracelsus was also very infatuated with Hermeticism, however, had a warped view of the principles. Like other false idols, he did not understand or follow the Hermetic philosophy well enough to properly utilize it. Which brings me to the next point. There are many forms of controlled opposition, and I believe they are also controlling all religions. Whether you subscribe to the beliefs of a Catholic or a Satanist, your beliefs are being controlled. If you're someone who has been in the truth community for a while, you've heard of the Illuminati, and how the elite Freemasons control the entertainment industry. And you've probably heard of Aleister Crowley's influence amongst many mainstream celebrities. Aleister Crowley coincidentally wrote a book titled The Book of Thoth. The Greek equivalent of the Egyptian god Thoth is Hermes. Therefore, many ideologies displayed by Aleister Crowley were heavily based off the Hermetic philosophy. Similar to Paracelsus, I believe Crowley attempted to take shortcuts instead of properly applying the Hermetic philosophy. These shortcuts were in the form of many different kinds of rituals, attempting to evoke various spirits and the use of many drugs. According to Wikipedia, Crowley and another individual spent a 6-week period in intense ritual involving strong drug use, in which they invoked the gods Mercury and Jupiter. Perhaps it is just a coincidence that Mercury was one of the gods invoked. Aleister Crowley also experimented with John Dee's Enochian invocations, which are magic incantations used to invoke angels or spirits. In the late 16th century, a man named John Dee, with the assistance of a medium named Edward Kelly, endeavored into magical investigations. The men claimed an angelic language was revealed to them by angels, the same language Adam used to name all things in paradise, and this language was integral to the practice of Enochian magic. Similar to the idea that the true Book of Thoth only existed in the astral plane, and one would have to travel in consciousness to access it, Dee and Kelly believed their visions gave them access to the secrets contained within the Book of Enoch. In other words, you could say the experiences John Dee and Edward Kelly had with Enochian angels gave them the hermeneutics to obtain secret information within the Book of Enoch. The term Enochian comes from John Dee's assertion that the biblical patriarch Enoch had been the last human to know the language. It is also said that Aleister Crowley adopted the name of the Baphomet at a ceremony in Berlin. The Baphomet is a deity allegedly worshipped by the Knights Templar that subsequently became incorporated into various occult and mystical traditions. The Baphomet also has the alchemic process depicted on its arms. According to some historians, the knights who banded together as the Knights Templar were part of a wave of European royalty descended from the Jewish elders that had fled the Holy Land around 70 AD when it was invaded by the Romans. Most people within the truth community are aware that nearly every media outlet and major corporation is controlled by Jews. Not only is it known that Jews control roughly 96% of the media, but it is also known that Jews have been kicked out of nearly every country in the world at some point in time. The last country to do so was Germany. There were several reasons why they were kicked out repeatedly, such as the mass amount of debt caused by Jewish bankers from charging ridiculous amounts of interest, as well as more sinister reasons. There is a plethora of evidence to suggest that Jews have been involved in ritual murders since the beginning of recorded history, most involving young children in which the Jews tortured them to death. In the Bible, the Israelites sacrificed to a golden calf. Obviously, not every Jew in the world is a part of these rituals, and I'm sure many of them are not even aware of them. However, there's evidence to suggest many Jews in the higher ranks are well aware of the accusations of murder placed against them, and these high-ranking Jews have either been a part of the rituals themselves, or they have gone to great lengths to hide the truth of these ritual murders. Another well-known occult leader who just so happened to be a Jew is Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. Although many Satanists claim that they do not believe in a devil or a god, and therefore any assumptions made concerning Satanists summoning demons and evoking spirits is untrue, since they supposedly do not believe that type of thing is truly possible. The amount of detailed instructions that are provided to accurately perform various satanic rituals certainly suggests otherwise. Devoted Satanists do in fact participate in rituals all throughout the year. Many of these rituals often involve perverted actions with either women or young children, as well as the sacrificing of animals and sometimes humans. Perhaps not all individuals who consider themselves a Satanist participate in these atrocities. However, like the Jews, the ones in the higher ranks may very well be performing such evil deeds. Perhaps it's possible Jewish ritual murders and satanic rituals are one and the same. Anton LaVey openly admitted, if you're going to be a sinner, then be the best sinner on the block. And if you're going to do something naughty, then to acknowledge you are doing so and enjoy it. If one were to follow the teachings found in the Satanic Bible, it would reduce them to a very low, animalistic, and selfish state, because this book provides absolutely no encouragement for self-improvement and only encourages the indulgence of sinful and enervating activities. Towards the end of the Satanic Bible, you find what are called the Enochian keys, which are intended to be read in the Enochian language, the language that was allegedly revealed to John Dee and Edward Kelly. Supposedly, by doing so, you may invoke various spirits which, in theory, will provide assistance with satanic rituals and help ensure that the desired outcome of the ritual will be rendered to the practitioner. In my opinion, if it is possible to contact spirits and ask for assistance in acquiring worldly desires, then only the bad spirits or demons would reply, and most likely it would come at a price. However, I believe it could also be possible to make some kind of contact with good spirits or angels if your heart is in the right place. Perhaps that is what John Dee and Edward Kelly meant when they claimed their visions gave them access to the secrets contained within the Book of Enoch. It has also been said that the true Book of Thoth was passed down from Hermes to his initiates, and that it was never necessarily put into writing, but instead, those who were initiated could access it in the astral plane by traveling through consciousness. This is very reminiscent of a quote by Nikola Tesla, in which he said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." Perhaps this is what the Hermetic philosophy is all about. It is the teachings that can bring a person from an animal state of mind to a higher level of consciousness. Interesting to note that while Hermes, or Mercury, was a messenger or mediator from the gods to the mortals, Enoch was also said to have been the mediator between the fallen angels and God. Perhaps that is referring to how the teachings presented either in the Book of Enoch or Thoth, or the Hermetic teachings, can be the mediator from one's lower consciousness to their higher consciousness. It is very similar or exactly the same as taking the steps required to open your third eye, in which it is said that the Kundalini serpent that rests at the base of the spine will become awakened and make its way to the crown chakra, at which point you will reach a state of spiritual liberation. On a side note, it is interesting that Mercury and/or Hermes hold both good and bad titles. For instance, it is said Hermes was the dream god, and he may also have become the god of roads and doorways, as well as the protector of travelers. But he was also known as the patron for liars, thieves, and financial gain. The caduceus, which they are both depicted carrying, includes two serpents wrapped around it, and this same symbol is found on the satanic Baphomet. And Asclepius, the god of medicine and the son of Apollo, the god of truth and prophecy, only has one snake wrapped around the staff he is depicted carrying. Just how there is only one serpent said to coil around the spine of an enlightened individual. And in the Bible, Numbers 21:5, we find the interesting story of Moses healing sick people who had been bitten by multiple snakes using a serpent of brass which he put upon a pole. And any man who beheld the serpent of brass lived. Also, it is said that the caduceus symbol originated when Mercury attempted to stop a fight between two snakes by throwing his rod at them, whereupon they twined themselves around the rod. It seems as if the depiction of two serpents around a pole may be indicative of needing improvement or perhaps leaning too far to either extreme, in which there is an absence of balance, while the depiction of a single serpent insinuates the achievement of being perfectly poised. This could be a false assumption, however. I do believe it's possible Enoch and Hermes are meant to be seen as a neutral character that could represent either bad or good things. The Book of Enoch is very interesting and includes the story of the fallen angels, which ended up mating with the mortal women and creating a race of giant creatures called Nephilim that ultimately began killing everything in their path. These fallen angels were also said to have taught the human people many things that were not yet meant to be known. Perhaps it's possible that nearly all corruption in the world stems from the teachings of these fallen angels. Some of the things the fallen angels taught were the making and the use of weapons, astrology, the use of makeup for women, and it can also be implied they taught forms of sorcery or witchcraft to the humans. In one passage it says, "And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants." Interestingly, the book Man's Higher Consciousness suggests that in the beginning of human existence, man had no need for food and instead was supplied with all the required stimulation for life from the cosmos or sun particles, which mixed with the air and was then breathed in. Slowly over time, humans began drinking water and eating fruits, and at some point the density of the food increased steadily until our present state. This book explains that even many vegetables could actually have detrimental effects on the body due to the high amount of inorganic earthy mineral matter contained in foods such as tubers, and that, in reality, the only physical food which was designed for human consumption is fruit. So where it says in the book of Enoch that the fallen angels taught them the cutting of roots and made them acquainted with plants, could be referring to the creation of tubers, since foods like carrots and potatoes are essentially formed from roots, and prior to these teachings, most humans only consumed fruit. But we do see the connection to neutrality even with the teachings of the fallen angels, because it would appear that some of the things the fallen angels taught to mankind were not necessarily bad, although the humans may not have been ready for such knowledge. This is all mostly speculation, of course, but I found it interesting that well-known figures such as Paracelsus, Aleister Crowley, and Anton LaVey, who have all mostly brought about negative ideologies, all share the same interest in Hermetic teachings or Enochian magic. Perhaps figures such as these were put in place purposefully to misdirect anyone investigating this ancient wisdom.